The chamber was filled with tension as ambassadors from 7 alien species gathered around the oval table. Located on Nexus Prime Space Station, the meeting room had witnessed many critical moments in galactic history, but none quite like this. Commander Alan Brooks sat among the alien delegates, his blue Terran Federation uniform standing out against the various colorful attire of his colleagues. "The latest reports are disastrous," announced Korth, the lizard-like Saurian military advisor. His scaly fingers tapped nervously on the holographic display. "The Dominion forces have pushed past our defensive line in the Meridian system." Alan leaned forward, studying the red markers spreading across the star map like a disease. The mechanical Dominion Empire had declared war 3 years ago, and since then, the Allied forces had suffered defeat after defeat. Each week brought new reports of lost battles and abandoned worlds. General Varnak, a 4-armed Krillian officer, slammed all 4 fists on the table. "We have lost 47 major engagements this month alone. 12 star systems now belong to the Dominion. Our energy shields are useless against their adaptive weapons." Through the transparent walls, Alan could see the damaged warships returning from the latest battle. Some were barely holding together, their hulls torn open and leaking atmosphere. The Valonian dreadnought Destiny had lost its entire front section. Escape pods still floated between the station's docking bays. "Perhaps we should evacuate more civilian worlds," suggested Ambassador Lyra, her blue skin paling to an almost white shade. The Axelian diplomat had always been known for her optimistic nature, but even she looked defeated. "Evacuation means surrender," growled the Zenti delegate. His insect-like antennae twitched with agitation. "The Dominion will hunt us through the entire galaxy if we show weakness." Alan remained quiet, analyzing the tactical data on his personal tablet. The numbers were terrible, but something bothered him about their approach. Every battle followed the same pattern. The Allied forces would deploy their ships in traditional formation, activate energy shields, and exchange fire until one side withdrew. The Dominion's artificial intelligence quickly adapted to every strategy they used. "Commander Brooks," called Admiral Shalak, the Vorian military leader. His tentacles writhed as he spoke. "Humanity is our newest member. What is your assessment?" The room fell silent. Every alien eye turned toward Alan. As Earth's representative, he felt the weight of expectation and doubt. Humanity had joined the galactic community only 2 years ago. Many species still questioned whether humans belonged in military discussions. "The Dominion forces are predictable," Alan began carefully. "Their AI calculates our moves based on established tactics. But we keep using the same strategies the Valonian Empire developed 5,000 years ago." General Thrax, the ancient Kalinian war commander, bristled at this comment. His feathers ruffled with indignation. "The battle doctrines have served the galaxy for millennia. They are proven and reliable." "Against other organic forces, yes," Alan replied. "But the Dominion doesn't think like us. Their machines calculate probability and optimize for efficiency. They expect us to follow the rules." The Saurian admiral hissed softly. "Are you suggesting we abandon our honor codes, the way of the warrior?" "I'm suggesting we survive," Alan said simply. "Humanity might be new to space warfare, but we've fought many wars on our own world. Sometimes survival requires new thinking." Ambassador Kiksen, representing the crystalline Frex species, made a sound like chiming bells. "But what alternative exists? Our combined military might follows the ancient way. We have energy shields, plasma weapons, and tactical formations perfected over generations." Alan pulled up footage from their latest defeat. "Watch how our ships move. Perfect lines, precise distances, coordinated shield harmonics. The Dominion ships calculate our movements and position their weapons exactly where we'll be." The hologram showed their fleet advancing in classic formation. The Dominion ships appeared chaotic, spreading out without pattern. Then came the barrage. Every shot from the enemy hit exactly where the Allied forces moved to defend. Within minutes, 3 cruisers exploded. "We're too predictable," Alan continued. "Our energy shields recharge in predictable patterns. Our retreat protocols follow standard procedures. The Dominion's AI models our behavior perfectly. What would you propose instead, human? Asked General Varnak, skepticism clear in his voice. R&D hesitated. The idea forming in his mind would sound insane to these traditional warriors. But watching more damaged ships limp into the station, he knew they needed radical change. Random movement patterns, unpredictable weapon timing, break formation deliberately, use deception, fight dirty if necessary. He paused, choosing his next words carefully. The Dominion calculates based on logic. Let's introduce them to chaos. The reaction was immediate. Some diplomats laughed, others looked offended. General Thrax stood abruptly, his ancient armor creaking. Chaos is not strategy, he declared. Discipline wins wars. Structure and honor define a true warrior. With respect, General, Alan replied, standing to meet the giant Kalinian's gaze. Your discipline has lost 47 battles in 1 month. Before Thrax could respond, alarms blared throughout the station. Technicians rushed to their consoles as new red markers appeared on the star map. Emergency transmission from Fleet Group 7, announced a Vorian operator. They're under attack in the Outer Rim. The Dominion has launched a surprise offensive with 50 warships. Everyone hurried to battle stations. Alan followed Admiral Shalak to the command center, where dozens of screens showed live feeds from the battle. The Allied fleet comprised 30 ships, mostly Valonian cruisers and Saurian destroyers, supported by smaller vessels from other species. They're maintaining formation, Alan observed, watching his allies' ships arrange themselves in the classic defensive pattern. The Dominion will adapt in minutes. Our commanders know their duty, Shalak replied, his tentacles working multiple control surfaces simultaneously. Alan watched helplessly as the battle unfolded exactly as predicted. The Allied fleet held their positions, shields overlapping in perfect harmony. The Dominion ships moved erratically, testing defenses from multiple angles. Within 10 minutes, they had mapped every pattern. Then came the attack. Precise, calculated, devastating. The Dominion focused fire on junction points where shields overlapped. Valonian cruisers, pride of the fleet, exploded in chain reactions. Saurian destroyers tried to break formation, but moved predictably, making themselves easy targets. Requesting permission to join the battle, Alan heard himself saying. Admiral Shalak turned multiple eyes toward him. With what ship, Commander? You arrived on a diplomatic vessel. The USS Freedom is docked here, Alan explained. It's a human destroyer. Let me show you how we fight differently. The Admiral hesitated. Around them, operators called out casualty reports. 12 ships lost, 15 heavily damaged. The battle was turning into another massacre. Permission granted, Shalak finally decided. Perhaps your chaos theory deserves a test, but understand, if you fail, you prove humanity has no place in this war. Alan rushed to the docking bay, calling his small crew to action. The USS Freedom was small by galactic standards, but it had come equipped with experimental systems Earth. Designers had developed specifically for unknown enemies. As he strapped into the captain's chair, Alan opened communications to his crew. All hands, this is Commander Brooks. We're about to jump into a battle we're losing. I need you to forget everything Space Academy taught you about proper tactics. Today, we're going to show the galaxy how humans fight when their backs are against the wall. The ship detached from the station and accelerated toward the battle zone. Alan knew this single engagement could determine humanity's role in the Galactic War, or confirm every doubt the Allied species had about Earth's military capabilities. As stars streaked past the view screen, he prepared to introduce the Dominion to something they couldn't calculate: human unpredictability. The USS Freedom burst into the battle zone as explosions filled the space around them. Alan gripped his command chair as debris from a destroyed Saurian destroyer bounced off their shields. Smoke and radiation clouds limited visibility to just a few kilometers. All ships, this is Commander Brooks from Earth, Alan announced on the open frequency. USS Freedom entering combat. We'll be performing unconventional maneuvers. Do not attempt to match our patterns. Static crackled across the communication lines. Some Allied captains cursed in their native languages. The Dominion forces detected the new ship and redirected 3 attack drones toward them. Helm, random pattern alpha, Alan ordered. No predictable movements. Lieutenant Sarah Mills, his pilot, threw the ship into a spinning dive. They dodged the first volley by dropping below the battle plane, then corkscrewed upward in a movement that would horrify any Academy instructor. The Dominion drones tried to calculate their trajectory but failed. Weapons, target that lead destroyer. But wait for my mark, Alan commanded. Understood, sir, replied Dave Wilson at the tactical station. He kept waiting while the enemy ship approached. Traditional doctrine called for immediate engagement at maximum range. The Dominion destroyer fired, its beams targeting where the Freedom should be based on standard evasive patterns. But Sarah had already changed course 3 times in ways no sane pilot would attempt. The beams struck empty space. Now fire, Alan ordered. The Freedom's weapons struck the destroyer's unshielded section while it recharged. A bright explosion marked humanity's first kill in the battle. Sir, the other forces are trying to coordinate with us, reported Communications Officer Mike Chang. Tell them to maintain their positions and shield harmonics, Alan replied. We'll create opportunities for them. This confused the Allied forces but confused the Dominion even more. The mechanical minds couldn't understand why one ship acted so differently from its allies. It broke their tactical predictions. For 20 minutes, the USS Freedom danced through the battlefield like a drunken acrobat. They would accelerate hard, toward one enemy, then suddenly brake and fire at another. They ignored shield optimization protocols, instead channeling all power to engines when they needed speed, or to weapons when striking. Admiral Shalak watched from the command center, as this single human ship caused havoc among the Dominion forces. The enemy ships, which had been efficiently destroying the Allied fleet, now moved hesitantly. Their AI systems tried to model the human tactics, but found no pattern to predict. Dominion forces are withdrawing weapons from the main engagement, his tactical officer reported. They're redirecting firepower to track the human ship. This gave the Allied forces a moment to breathe. Damaged ships pulled back for repairs. The remaining vessels adjusted their shields and prepared for a counterattack. Human chaos might actually be working, Shalak muttered to himself. Back on the Freedom, Alan noted the shift in enemy behavior. They're getting annoyed with us. Good. Sarah, take us on a suicide run toward their formation, then pull up at the last second. Are you sure about this, sir? She asked, sweat beading on her forehead. Trust me. The Freedom accelerated directly at the center of the Dominion formation, every enemy weapon locked onto them. The Allied forces watched in horror as the human ship appeared to perform a kamikaze attack. At the last possible moment, Sarah yanked the controls. The ship flipped end over end, its belly exposed to enemy fire for a split second before diving below the enemy formation. Now jump behind their line, Alan ordered immediately. Using short-range quantum drives in ways that violated every safety protocol, the Freedom appeared behind the enemy's rear guard. They fired full spread at the surprised ships before anyone could react. The Dominion formation, which had focused all weapons forward, was caught completely off guard. 3 ships exploded before they could turn. Their perfect battle coordination shattered. Back at the command center, General Thrax watched in amazement as the disciplined Dominion forces broke their own formation to chase the human ship. His centuries of military experience had never shown him anything like this. They're making the machines act emotionally, he said in disbelief. The Dominion is getting angry. And anger makes soldiers sloppy, added Ambassador Kixon, her crystal face reflecting the battle displays. The Freedom continued its chaotic assault. They would appear from behind asteroids that hadn't been there seconds ago, using the debris field as mobile cover. They fired warning shots that forced enemy ships to dodge, disrupting their formations. They even faked malfunction once, broadcasting distress signals while their weapons were fully charged and ready. After an hour of this harassment, the Dominion forces began making mistakes. Real mistakes. They fired at shadows. They collided with each other trying to chase the Freedom. Their precise battle algorithms couldn't handle the constant uncertainty. Seeing this opportunity, Admiral Shalak ordered the Allied fleet to advance. Traditional tactics combined with human-induced chaos proved effective. The Dominion ships, still confused by the Freedom's antics, suffered heavy losses. As the tide turned, Alan received a priority message from Nexus Prime. "Commander Brooks," came General Thrax's gruff voice. "Return to station. We need to discuss your methods." Alan expected criticism, but something in the general's tone suggested otherwise. He ordered his crew to stand down and begin the journey back. 2 hours later, Alan stood before the military council again. The battle had ended in the Allied forces' first victory in months. Casualty reports showed minimal losses compared to recent engagements. "Your ship saved my nephew," Admiral Varnak announced bluntly. "His transport was caught between 2 Dominion destroyers. Your crazy flight patterns drew them away." "The final statistics are quite clear," added Ambassador Lyra, her blue skin now healthy with color. "The Dominion lost 19 ships. We lost 3. This is unprecedented." General Thrax stood, his ancient armor gleaming under the station lights. "I have fought in 17 wars across 30 solar systems. Never have I seen effectiveness in chaos." He paused, looking directly at Alan. "But I cannot argue with results." The room buzzed with whispered translations as alien species discussed this new development. "We destroyed 6 Dominion ships ourselves," Alan reported formally. "But more importantly, we created confusion in their ranks. Their AI cannot adapt to tactics they cannot predict." Admiral Shellac's tentacles moved in what Alan had learned was thoughtful consideration. "The Council must decide how to proceed. Do we embrace these human methods, or do we maintain our traditional way?" "The war is not about honor anymore," Alan replied carefully. "It's about survival. The Dominion doesn't care about warrior codes. They care about efficiency and victory." For the next several hours, the military council debated intensely. Species that had fought wars for millennia struggled to accept that their proven methods were failing. Yet the numbers from the recent battle couldn't be ignored. Finally, Admiral Shellac called for order. "By majority vote, the Council has decided to establish an experimental program. Commander Brooks, you will train select pilots from each species in your unconventional methods." "What about our battle doctrines?" asked General Thrax. "We will create hybrid tactics," Shellac explained. "Traditional, formations as foundation, human creativity as enhancement. We must adapt, or the Dominion will consume us all." As the meeting ended, Admiral Patricia Woods contacted Alan via secure channel. She was humanity's most senior military officer, stationed on Earth's primary defense platform. "We heard about your performance today," Patricia said, her weathered face smiling through the holographic projection. "Earth is preparing a fleet of 50 ships with experienced officers. We have some ideas that make your tactics look conservative." Alan grinned. "The aliens haven't seen anything yet." "No, they haven't," Patricia agreed. "Prepare yourself, Commander. You're about to introduce the galaxy to humanity's real war machines, and this time, you won't be alone." The transmission ended, leaving Alan standing in the observation deck. Through the transparent wall, he watched construction crews beginning to retrofit Allied ships with human tactical systems. In the darkness beyond, stars waited. Somewhere out there, the Dominion was calculating, planning, adapting. But for the first time since the war began, the galaxy had something the machines couldn't predict: humanity's limitless capacity for creative destruction. 3 weeks after the battle, the USS Nevada led a small squadron through the asteroid field of the Crab Nebula. Captain Lisa Martinez stood at attention on the bridge, watching her mixed crew of humans and aliens work together. The Galactic powers had provided them with 20 ships for testing humanity's new war methods. "Dominion patrol detected ahead," reported Lieutenant Kyle Anderson. 3 escort destroyers and 1 heavy cruiser. "Perfect test subjects," Lisa murmured. She opened communications to the squadron. "All ships maintain current course, no reactive movements yet." The Saurian captain of the carrier Fang showed concern in his voice. "Captain Martinez, they will detect us soon. We should prepare battle formations." "Negative, Captain Xerix. Let them see us. Let them scan us. Let them calculate." This made no sense to the alien officers, but they had agreed to follow human leadership. The Dominion ships did exactly as predicted. Their sensors locked onto the Allied squadron. The enemy ships moved into standard intercept pattern, their weapons powering up. Lisa watched their tactical display carefully. Now for some magic tricks. Helm, execute Ghost Protocol 1. Sarah, now promoted to chief pilot, activated systems that the aliens had helped install. The Nevada and its squadron suddenly split their sensor signatures. To enemy scanners, each ship appeared to fragment into 5 separate contacts. Confusion rippled through Dominion systems. They calculated 20 ships but suddenly detected 100. Their targets kept multiplying. Jump coordinates locked. In, reported Dave at navigation. Ready for micro jumps. Execute on my mark, Lisa commanded. 3, 2, 1, mark. The squadron performed several small quantum jumps. They vanished for microseconds, reappearing in new positions. To observers, they seemed to teleport randomly through space. The Dominion ships fired at empty coordinates where their targets had been. Drop thermal flares, Lisa ordered next. Behind each ship, bright flares ignited. They created false heat signatures that lingered in space. The Dominion's targeting systems, built to track heat trails, locked onto the decoys. The enemy heavy cruiser fired its main weapons at the brightest signals. When the beams hit, they found nothing but dissipating heat clouds. All ships converge on pattern Delta, Lisa commanded. The squadron, which had been scattered across the asteroid field, suddenly regrouped behind their enemy. They had used the natural cover of space rocks, combined with their deceptive tactics, to circle around undetected. Fire at will, Lisa shouted. 20 ships opened fire simultaneously from point-blank range. The Dominion destroyers had no time to react. Their shields configured for frontal assault were weakest at the rear. Explosions bloomed in the darkness. The enemy heavy cruiser attempted to turn, but human coordination was too fast. Ships that had seemed disorganized moments ago now moved like a wolf pack. They targeted specific points on the hull, overwhelming local shield generators. Within 5 minutes, all 4 Dominion ships lay silent and broken. Not a single Allied vessel had suffered damage. Mission successful, Lisa reported to command. Ghost protocols proved effective. The enemy never found our real positions. Back at Nexus Prime, this victory caused waves throughout Allied command. Admiral Patricia Woods arrived from Earth with 50 advanced warships and a proposal that shocked the military council. We need to completely rebuild your communication networks, Patricia explained. Her holographic presentation showed intricate web patterns. The Dominion listens to everything. They predict your moves by intercepting transmissions. General Zarkon, a Krillian strategist, raised his 4 arms in protest. Battle communications must be clear and organized. Chain of command requires standard protocols. And that's exactly how they beat you, Patricia countered. We propose quantum encrypted channels with rotating frequencies, multiple dummy communications, to mask real signals, command layers that confuse enemy intelligence. She demonstrated the system. A simple order to advance became dozens of different coded messages sent simultaneously. Only ships with the correct decryption keys could understand. Actual commands. Dr. Eric Chen, a quantum physicist Patricia had brought, explained further. Our communication system creates a probability cloud. The Dominion must choose which signals to decode. By the time they select the right ones, you've already moved. The Vorian Admiral Shalak examined the data carefully. This would require replacing communication cores on every Allied ship, the expense alone. The cost of losing this war is much higher, Patricia reminded him. Earth has developed modular units. Installation takes hours, not weeks. Over the next month, the Allied fleet underwent transformation. Human engineers worked alongside alien technicians, installing new systems. The Frex crystalline beings, with their natural quantum resonance abilities, proved especially helpful in calibrating the equipment. Meanwhile, other innovations emerged. Colonel Jake Miller returned from a deep space mission with modified corvettes. These ships had been equipped with AI counterware, programs specifically designed to confuse Dominion artificial intelligence. Watch this demonstration, Jake told assembled officers. He activated a simulation where Dominion ships attacked a convoy. Instead of fleeing or fighting directly, the convoy ships began broadcasting random data packets. Numbers, images, sounds, and sensor readings flooded enemy systems. The Dominion AI tries to analyze everything, Jake explained. They classify data, looking for patterns. But when pattern contains chaos, they enter processing loops. In the simulation, Dominion ships slowed down, their movements becoming jerky. Some fired at wrong targets. Others stopped responding entirely as their AI system struggled with data overload. We've turned their advantage into weakness, Jake concluded. Their powerful processors become their enemy when fed too much meaningless information. General Thrax watched the demonstration with growing interest. The ancient warrior had adapted faster than anyone expected. He had been working with human instructors, learning their methods. Our shields can benefit from this approach, Thrax suggested. Instead of harmonizing perfectly, random shield modulation would make our energy signatures unstable, harder to target. A young Zenti engineer took this idea further. What if we pulse our shields at different frequencies? The Dominion calculates shield strength based on emission patterns. Irregular patterns would confuse their weapons targeting. Soon, the Allied forces began field testing these combined innovations. In the outer systems, small victories accumulated. Dominion patrols faced ships that appeared to teleport, communicate through unbreakable codes, and defend with unpredictable shields. The momentum shifted noticeably. Dominion forces, which had steamrolled through Allied defenses for 3 years, began suffering unexpected losses. Their reports, intercepted through human intelligence, showed growing confusion in their ranks. At Nexus Prime, the war room buzzed with new energy. Admiral Wood stood before holographic battle maps that showed green where red had dominated weeks ago. The Dominion is regrouping, she announced. They're pulling back from aggressive expansion. Our tactics are forcing them to recalculate their entire strategy. Ambassador Lyra, who had been among the first to accept human methods, smiled broadly. Your unpredictability has become our greatest weapon. But we can't get comfortable, Patricia warned. The Dominion learns. They'll find counters to our counters. We need to keep innovating. Alan entered the room with urgent news. We've intercepted Dominion communications. They're assembling a massive fleet in the Edge Nebula. Looks like they're preparing for a major offensive to regain control. General Korth's scales rippled with excitement rather than fear. Then we must prepare our counterstrike. The Great Library System is their next logical target. If we can defend it successfully. We don't defend, Patricia interrupted. We attack first. Classical warfare says garrison your strongholds. Human warfare says strike where the enemy doesn't expect. She pointed to a different sector entirely. The Dominion is sending their fleet to Edge Nebula. That means their supply base at the terminus. Gate is vulnerable. We hit them there while they prepare to hit us elsewhere. The alien generals looked at each other uncertainly. This went against every military principle they knew. But the recent victories spoke for themselves. Admiral Shellac made the decision. We trust the human way. Prepare a strike force. The age of defensive warfare ends today. Throughout Allied space, ships prepared for the first major offensive of the war. Humanity's innovations hadn't just given them tools to survive. They had given them the confidence to take the fight directly to their enemy. And in the darkness of space, the Dominion fleet reached the Edge Nebula, ready to crush their stubborn opponents. They found only empty space and detection buoys. Their perfect calculations hadn't accounted for one variable. Humans don't play by the rules of logical warfare. The Terran War College opened aboard the massive space station Unity 7, floating in neutral space between 3 star systems. Human instructors filled the massive halls where alien officers sat at curved desks designed for different body types. The sight would have seemed impossible just 4 months ago. Captain Lisa Martinez walked between rows of students. To her left sat a Krillian commander with 4 arms taking notes. On her right, a Zenti engineer adjusted her insect wings to fit the chair better. Saurian pilots practiced human combat maneuvers on simulation pods, that had been modified for lizard physiology. The key principle is adaptation, Lisa explained, pointing to a holographic display showing various battle scenarios. When you hit a wall, you don't throw yourself against it until you break. You find a window, you use the door, you dig under, you go over, or you just create your own hole. General Korth raised his clawed hand. The same Saurian who had fought humans verbally in early council meetings now took notes eagerly. But how do we maintain unit cohesion if everyone acts differently? Think of a school of fish, Lisa replied. Each fish moves randomly to avoid predators, yet the school stays together. Your underlying goal connects you. Your methods can vary. In another section of the station, Dr. Eric Chen worked with Frex mathematicians. Their crystalline minds calculated probability fields that enhanced human quantum communication systems. Together, they developed predictive algorithms that could anticipate Dominion movements based on chaotic inputs. The biggest change came when General Korth presented his request to command. I wish to establish a mixed unit combining Saurian warriors with human specialists. We will test new combined tactics. Admiral Woods raised an eyebrow. You want to lead this unit? I have studied your methods extensively, Korth replied. Traditional, Saurian discipline paired with human creativity could produce something extraordinary, but I need your permission to break some of our sacred codes. Which codes? Formation flying, shield harmonics, even some of our religious warrior chants that signal attacks. Korth's scales clicked with determination. To fight machinery, we must become less predictable than machines. The request was granted. Korth's mixed unit, named the Storm Scales, began operations within weeks. Their first mission targeted the Meridian system, which the Dominion had captured 3 months earlier. The assault began differently than any battle before. Instead of massive fleet formations, the Storm Scales attacked in small teams. 3 ships would engage from one direction while others struck from completely different angles. They used human hit-and-run tactics combined with Saurian precision strikes. In the command ship, Korth roared ancient battle cries while his human tactical officer, Lieutenant Jeff Manning, ran chaos algorithms through enemy systems. The combination worked devastatingly well. Dominion patrol destroyed, reported the weapons officer. Their supply depot is exposed, added Jeff, analyzing sensor data. Then we strike like true predators, Korth declared, channeling power to engines. The liberation of Meridian became a showcase for new combined tactics. Saurian ships performed perfect attack runs while their human wingmen created confusion through unpredictable support movements. The Dominion found themselves fighting enemies that followed no known doctrine. After the victory, Korth's success inspired other alien commanders. The Krillian General Varnak requested human advisors for his battalion. The insect-like Zenti captains learned to swarm attack in patterns too chaotic for AI to model. Meanwhile, the larger war effort required even bigger coordination. Admiral Woods prepared the greatest combined operation yet. The battle planning session brought together commanders from all allied species. The Dominion controls their war effort from the Seven Moons base, Patricia explained, pointing to a star map. Intelligence reports show they're regrouping there after Edge Nebula turned out empty. We have an opportunity. The Axelian Admiral Trix, known for defensive expertise, frowned. 7 Moons is the most fortified position in this sector. Attacking directly would cost thousands of ships. Who said anything about direct attack? Patricia smiled. She activated a complex battle simulation. We'll use 7 different deception vectors, she continued. The Axelian heavy ships will create sensor ghosts suggesting a full invasion fleet from the west. Krillian stealth squadrons will perform short jumps to multiply their apparent numbers from the north. Vorian ships will seed quantum mines that send false position data from the south. As she described the plan, alien officers grew excited. This wasn't just complex. It was orchestrated chaos on a scale they'd never imagined. What about actual attack vectors? Asked Thrax, the elderly Kalinian general who had become one of humanity's strongest supporters. The real strike force will be small and distributed, Patricia revealed. 50 ships total using maximum stealth technology. will arrive from above and below the battle plane where they expect nothing. Pure human surprise attack methodology. The Yi. Battle of Seven Moons began 6 weeks later. Across 3 star systems, Allied forces performed their deception operations. Massive energy signatures blazed from multiple directions. Quantum signatures suggested thousands of ships converging. Dominion. Defensive AI systems calculated defensive measures. Their shields configured for multi-vector assault. Their ships repositioned to meet the expected invasion fleets. But the real attack came from the vertical axis, where no conventional fleet travels. 50 heavily modified ships dropped out of quantum space directly above and below 7 moons. They had used gravitational masking to hide their approach. The fortress base had been built to defend against horizontal attacks. Its vertical shields were minimal. The Allied force struck with precision, guided by both human innovation and alien expertise. Quantum torpedoes, modified by Freck's crystalline technology, overwhelmed defensive barriers. Saurian precision weapons hit power conduits exposed by Vorian. Sensor analysis. Krillian boarding teams infiltrated through breaches created by human breaching charges. The battle lasted only 3 hours. 7 moons, which had taken the Dominion 2 years to build, fell in less time than their AI systems needed to recalculate defensive parameters. As reports of victory spread through Allied space, something fundamental shifted. The military doctrine of 7 different species transformed. Old battle manuals received digital updates mixing human chaos theory with traditional tactics. The Dominion's next counteroffensives met prepared resistance. Allied forces no longer fought like separate species following old rules. They fought as one unified force that combined strengths while maximizing unpredictability. In battle after battle, Dominion forces found themselves struggling against tactics that shouldn't work, but somehow did. Their AI systems consumed enormous processing power trying to model behaviors that defied modeling. From watching total defeat, the galaxy had moved towards something unprecedented. Human innovation hadn't just saved the Alliance, it had forced evolution of warfare itself. And the Dominion's perfect machines found themselves facing an enemy they could never fully calculate. The united, unpredictable power of organic creativity. 6 months after 7 moons fell, the Allied fleet gathered at Assembly Point Omega. Admiral Richard Hayes commanded from the USS Constitution, humanity's newest command ship. Surrounding him floated a fleet unlike any seen before in galactic history. 200 vessels from 9 species formed perfect chaos. No organized lines, no traditional formations. Ships circled each other like predators waiting to hunt. Communication channels buzzed with encrypted chatter in multiple languages. Admiral Hayes, General Korth reported from his Stormscale flagship. Intelligence confirms Dominion Corps is assembling their last major fleet. Estimate 500 warships. Richard studied tactical displays where bright dots marked enemy positions. The Dominion Corps lay at the center of their empire, surrounded by defensive perimeters that made 7 moons look simple. They think we'll attack head-on, Richard said to his bridge crew. Maximum force versus maximum defense, but that's not how humans fight. Lieutenant Commander Diana Hayes, his niece, who had risen quickly through ranks, worked at her station. Sir, the Quantum Cascade Protocol is ready for deployment. Diana had developed this innovation 6 weeks ago. Unlike massive fleets jumping, together, ships would perform sequential quantum jumps through a network of entangled beacons. Each ship would wink into existence at a different location, coordinated through quantum particles that transmitted instantaneous data. All ships report ready for Cascade, announced Communications Officer Kelly James. Richard opened a fleet-wide channel. Today marks the end of 4 years of war. The machines calculated they would win through superior processing. They forgot that chaos has its own power. Execute Cascade Protocol on my mark. The first wave of ships vanished. They reappeared beyond Dominion outer defenses, positioned through quantum coordinates that couldn't be predicted or blocked. Before enemy systems could react, they released swarms of smart mines that activated randomly between 1 second and 7 minutes. The Dominion's AI tried calculating mine patterns but couldn't predict randomized timers. Their ships moved to avoid the mines, breaking their own perfect formations. Wave 2 materialized within the defensive grid. Frex crystalline ships appeared like ghosts, their quantum resonance allowing them to occupy spaces between shield frequencies. They didn't attack immediately but broadcasted counter-AI signals developed by human programmers. Dominion ships received packets that appeared to be routine system updates. Their AI accepted the data automatically. Within moments, non-critical systems began running memory loops. The artificial intelligences didn't crash but became significantly slower processing battle data. "They're adapting to our infiltration," warned Tactical Officer Dave Wilson. "Launch Phase 3, Richard ordered immediately. The real attack began as the Dominion committed ships to hunt the infiltrators. Krillian destroyers dropped from quantum space directly onto enemy supply lines. Saurian precision strikes hit power, relays that Vorian sensors had mapped weeks ago during scout missions. In the command center, holographic displays showed battle progress. Red enemy contacts flickered as ships lost power or suffered system failures. Blue Allied formations maintained their unpredictable swarm pattern. "Enemy attempting counter-jump," reported Diana. "They're bringing reinforcements." "Activate the quantum field generators," Richard responded calmly. Human engineers had placed these devices using stealth ships a month ago. Hidden in space debris around the Dominion core, they activated now. The generators created overlapping quantum fields that scrambled jump coordinates. Dominion reinforcements attempted to emerge from quantum space. Some arrived light years off target. Others materialized inside asteroid fields. Several ships tried jumping into the same coordinates simultaneously and merged catastrophically. "Their logistics network is collapsing," called out Mike Chang from the sensor station. The Dominion core still controlled hundreds of warships, but without coordination their advantage disappeared. Allied forces fought not as a single army, but as multiple independent units that supported each other through creative tactics. General Varnak's Krillian boarding specialists performed actions that would make traditional tacticians faint. They launched without shields toward Dominion capital ships, using their forearms to pilot boarding pods manually at impossible speeds. Dominion point defense couldn't track pilots who performed random direction changes every few seconds. The lizard-scaled Saurians pushed their ships to structural limits with maneuvers that stressed hulls beyond design specifications. But these sacrifices paid off. When Saurian ships struck, their precision weapons hit exactly where Dominion shields had weakened, dealing with human chaos tactics elsewhere. 5 hours into the battle, enemy resistance began fragmenting. Without their central coordination, Dominion ships started making individual decisions. Some attempted retreat, others fought to the end. Many simply stopped moving as their overloaded AI systems couldn't process the tactical environment. "Sir," Diana reported, "we're receiving surrender broadcasts from multiple Dominion vessels." Richard considered this carefully. "Accept surrenders but maintain battle readiness. This could be a trap." But it wasn't a trap. The perfect calculating machines had met an enemy they ultimately couldn't understand or defeat. As more ships powered down their weapons, the Allied fleet began secure and capture operations. Admiral Woods arrived with a larger fleet to establish occupation. She found Richard on the bridge of a captured Dominion battleship, studying their technology with alien scientists. "You did it," Patricia said simply. "Changed the course of galactic warfare forever." Richard looked tired, but satisfied. "We just showed everyone that thinking differently can win against overwhelming odds." 2 months later, the Galactic Peace Treaty was signed aboard the USS Constitution in orbit around New Harmony Station. Delegates from 12 species witnessed Human Admiral Richard Hayes shake hands with a newly created Dominion AI representative, programmed with flexibility and diplomatic capabilities. The ceremony established the Galactic Defense Forces with humanity in key leadership positions. General Korth became Supreme Allied Commander of the Northern Sectors, working with Earth Admiral Steve Turner. Karen Smith, Earth's Secretary of Galactic Defense, addressed the peace conference. "This war showed us that no single way of thinking can solve every problem. Machines calculated, tradition preserved, but adaptation won the day." In the months that followed, the combined Allied fleet began training exercises that fully integrated unpredictable human tactics with the strengths of every species. The Vorian superior sensors remained valuable. Saurian precision had a place, alongside human creativity. Krillian boarding tactics enhanced human infiltration methods. 6 months after peace, Karen Smith watched joint fleet exercises from the observation deck of Defense Command Station. Human destroyer USS Liberty flew alongside Kalinian battlecruiser Honor's Truth, performing coordinated maneuvers that would have been impossible before the war. Initial after-action reports, Secretary Smith, announced her aide, bringing up statistics. The numbers showed remarkable improvement. Allied forces completed training missions 40% faster than pre-war, with 70% fewer accidents despite more complex maneuvers. Karen wrote the final entry in the official war history. Earth entered this war as newcomers to galactic civilization. We leave it having proven that new perspectives, even from primitive origins, can save the most advanced alliances. The machines taught us calculation wins battles. Tradition taught us honor preserves culture. We taught everyone that adaptation wins wars. The Dominion War changed more than military doctrine. It changed how different species could work together. By embracing our differences instead of suppressing them, we became stronger than our enemies could have calculated. The galaxy now prepares for future challenges not as separate powers following rigid rules, but as a combined force ready to adapt to any threat. As she submitted the report, Karen looked out at the stars. Earth, a world once feared lost to galactic war, now protected systems reaching across multiple star clusters. Humanity hadn't just survived. They had earned their place among the cosmic civilizations. Nearby, newly commissioned officers from 7 different homeworlds studied combined tactics at the expanded Terran War College. The old ways weren't abandoned, but they evolved. Tradition and innovation merged into something neither humans nor aliens could have created alone. In the darkness beyond the station's lights, quantum beacons pulsed their steady rhythm. These navigation aids had been modified with human technology to create communication networks that spanned the entire galactic alliance. Where once rigid protocols had been followed absolutely, now flexible systems adapted to changing needs. New age of galactic defense had begun, not through the dominance of any single species, but through the recognition that chaos, creativity, and calculation could coexist. The machines had forced change through war. Organics had embraced change through adaptation. And somewhere in that balance, the future of the galaxy found its path forward.